I'm nervous about this. Okay, so hi. It's me, Max. I am talking to you from the basement of Sunset Gower Studios, where I'm doing pre-pro on my movie, Me, Him, Her, which I am directing, but this is my lunch break, and I'm doing this. I don't want to pitch this from the main DC universe. I want you to sort of think of this like All-Star Superman, where, you know, the reboots and the crises and all these things that have happened, New 52, sort of prevent me from doing my most perfect version of the story, and I want to tell my most perfect version of the story. So I want to set us in about year 2. Let's say Superman's been around for 2 years. Now, my Superman knows he's an alien, but doesn't really know the Fortress of Solitude, not around. He's never met another Kryptonian. The only evidence of Kryptonian technology that he has is the pod that he came to Earth in. So he doesn't know what Jor-El looks like. He doesn't know really what happened on Krypton. The Justice League is only sort of been formed. Everybody's met each other, but it hasn't been a, hey, let's get together and do this every Friday, beat up villains. It's more of a, oh, you also you are superhero? There are superheroes popping up all over the United States, but they don't really know each other. It's not like, oh, you know, they see each other on the news. So that's where I'm going to start. So we open, and almost all of Metropolis is on fire. There are dead bodies everywhere. The downtown section of Metropolis, Manhattan, New Troy, is eviscerated. There are holes through buildings. Buildings are leaning against each other. There are flipped military vehicles everywhere. And we pan in, you know, in the comic, we pan in past a crashed Batwing. The Bug, Blue Beetle ship, has been torn in half. We see Wonder Woman's lasso just like ripped to shreds. We see people just dead everywhere. And then a first aid truck rumbling through the city. And there are these 2 guys on this truck. They're going through the city after basically the biggest disaster that's happened since, you know, the tsunamis in Japan, since like Hiroshima. Everything's destroyed. And as they're going through, they're picking up injured people. They pick up this woman whose arm is broken and they talk to her. They pick up this guy whose like legs are all torn up and they help him. These are disaster relief workers and they're showing up all over the city, but we're just with these 2 guys. They find this guy near the center of the explosion who's so badly beaten, his clothes have been like torn away and he's all just swollen, he can't speak, he can't move, his eyes are just blood, you know, he's just fucked. They put him in the back, he's clearly in critical condition. And we listen to what the people are saying, and what the people are saying is fuck Superman. You know, if Superman hadn't had this fight in the city, none of this would have happened. If Superman hadn't led that thing here, my husband would still be alive. These people hate him. You know, I thought Superman was a good guy, but to someone who's that powerful, he's stopping bank robberies. What if Superman was an alien invader? You know, I heard he was an alien. Luthor always said he was an alien on TV. And you know what? Maybe this was his plan all along, destroy Metropolis. Where is he anyway? No one knows where Superman's gone. As they're rumbling through the city, night is falling, Green Lanterns start showing up in the sky. Dozens and dozens of them. It's beautiful. They finally arrived on Earth after the stress call went out earlier that day. And they begin helping with the repairs. And we begin to see heroes sort of everywhere, but they're all fucked up. We actually pick up Blue Beetle, and he is terribly injured, and they have to unmask him to ask if he has allergies because they have to give him penicillin. They have to take care of him. They treat his wounds. He's sitting in the back of this truck with this guy who's like dying. They finally get back to the relief post. People are being unloaded. They need your full name, and you know, and so that they can report you as found and not dead. The people are going off, giving their full names. Blue Beetle gets away. They finally unload the last guy who like can't even move. He's so badly beaten. And they say, "What is your name, sir?" The guy says, "Clark Kent." 2 days ago, it's kind of a great time for Lois Lane because her big paper on the rise of superheroes, her essay, which went out and became this viral thing. It's really interesting because she didn't write it for the Daily Planet, she wrote it for her blog. It's the first ever blog post to win a Pulitzer Prize. It spread so wide, the idea that superheroes are a good thing, that this reporter who, before this, she was just, she's Daily Planet, she's on CNN as a, columnist, she's become a mega celebrity. And this is really exciting for her boyfriend, Clark Kent. And they've been dating on and off for a year, and they have kind of a special connection, and Clark really wants to take it to the next level with her. So that night he takes her out for this great dinner, and he says, hey, not to jinx this, but I'm Superman. And she, of course, goes, what? It's like her dork boyfriend is Superman. He's like, yeah, I'm wearing the costume right now. I can fly. She's like, what the fuck are you saying to me right now? He's like, no, this is pretty serious. And she's like, you're an alien? Everything you've said to me is a lie? He's like, I haven't lied to you about anything except being Superman. I'm Clark Kent. I'm just your boyfriend. It's still me. And I don't know about being an alien. I don't know about my past. I don't know where I've come from. But the reason I'm telling you this is because I see my future is with you. And Lois is like, this is a lot to handle. Bail. She leaves, and Clark is left alone that night. The next day, they have this very awkward encounter, which is they're going to LexCorp Tower to see Luthor's new anti-Kryptonian security system. It has these giant shards of kryptonite, and of course, Clark can't go in. And Lois goes, oh, really? You can't go in? Of course. And they haven't spoken since their little breakup. So Lois goes in and sees the security system, and Lex basically is so proud of himself. He's like, mark my words, Superman will be the downfall of civilization. He represents the end of human achievement. You want to know why? Because no human will ever be as good as Superman. And that's why he's boring, and that's why he's dangerous. You want to know why Superman never says anything? It's because he's a good guy? No, it's because he's hiding his real motives. To subvert and destroy our society. A messiah figure in the modern era would be the most destructive thing to happen to Metropolis and global culture imaginable. People would stop trying to be better. And I, Lex Luthor, a self-made man, I can't allow that. Our society must reject Superman. Luthor then reveals to Lois Lane, hey, I have discovered a number, because he wants her attention, because this is the Pulitzer Prize winner. He says, I have discovered a number of anomalous energy signatures just outside of Metropolis. They lead to something our scientists are calling the Phantom Zone. Using Kryptonian technology from Area 51, because Area 51 was a Kryptonian crash. Sorry, I'm so amused by my own bullshit. Using Kryptonian technology, we have found a way to create a gateway. And Lois, I'll take you there today. I will take you there and you will see the Phantom Zone, our first foray into the Kryptonian world. Lois is like, shit, that's really intense. I better tell Clark. Because she does still love him. She tells him, hey, they have Kryptonian technology. They're opening a gateway maybe back to something from your home planet. You should be there for this. He says, fuck yes, I should. So, at this big archaeological dig site outside of the city, there are lights all set up. It's like, mid-afternoon, Luthor prepares to do this big top-secret opening of basically a wormhole on American property to the Phantom Zone using all this old Kryptonian technology. Now, there's one scientist who really knows this stuff. His name is Hank Henshaw, and he's a creep. Like, he's a slime, douchebag, scientist, rock star, sort of like Hank Pym is. You know how Ant-Man's kind of actually an asshole? Hold on, let me... This guy has been waiting his entire life to go into the Phantom Zone. He always theorized that it existed, and he's been working with this technology called B13. And the B13 Kryptonian technology is a self-replicating nanobot. So he just programs things, and then it builds itself. It's almost like it has a mind of its own. I'm sorry, I love this. He's about to open a gate into the Phantom Zone for the first time ever. Kryptonian technology exploited by humans. Lex Luthor bringing the world into the next stage, the next era. Well, the answer might be beyond that gate. Superman shows up and goes, excuse me, I am the only Kryptonian on Earth. Luthor, I can't let you open a gate to the Phantom Zone without me being the first one to go through. Now, of course, he's saying this from like a, it's safer if I go through perspective, but really Superman just is so curious about his home and his home world, and he's always wanted to know, where did I come from? And Lois understands that, so she vouches for him. Lex is basically bullied into letting him go, and Hank Henshaw is like, this is bullshit. Clark turns to Lois, he's like, maybe you shouldn't be here. Like, the only knowledge I have of the Phantom Zone is that it's maybe a bad thing. And Lois is like, hey, you're not my fucking father or my boyfriend really at this point. You're Superman. I don't even know you. You could be anyone, so don't talk to me like you're Clark Kent. And he's like, shit. So the gate opens, big wormhole, and Superman steps into the Phantom Zone. And as he moves through the ether, the sort of, gossamer threads of dimensional nebula, as he moves past it, he sees something pass him. Something big. He goes out into the Phantom Zone, which is, of course, this big void with asteroids floating in it, and people like, "Rah!" And everyone's dead. He's looking at something like 17,000 corpses. And there's one guy, this Kryptonian guy, who's all beat up and bloody, who goes, oh, thank God! Rescue, finally, thank God! Oh my God, who are you? And Clark is like, I'm not here to rescue you. What the hell is going on? How do I get out of here? Because the gate just shuts right behind him. And he goes, why would you want to leave? We'll open a gate to a different place. The Beast just went through the gate as you came in. The Beast? Meanwhile, outside the gate, Doomsday. 10 feet of raw destructive energy. If the Hulk was on the school ground, this is the kid who shoves the Hulk's head in a toilet and gives him a swirly. Nothing can stop Doomsday. Even being near him gives you toxic radiation sickness. And he is ripping through the archaeological dig. Luthor has guys in suits, the LexCorp soldiers. He's eating them alive. He's tearing people in half. It's the most violent thing you've ever seen in a Superman comic. Hank Henshaw attempts very quickly to dial into the nanobots and build some sort of defensive wall. Doomsday picks him up and throws him in, and Henshaw is consumed by the nanobots and watches as Doomsday one-hits his wife, dead. Lois is like, holy shit, but immediately clocks that Doomsday is only killing everything around it. It's just moving in a straight path. It goes from person to person. And Lois turns to Luthor, and she says, Lex, we have to stay here. We're out in the middle of nowhere. If we let it kill us, it'll stay here. It's not going to seek anyone out. Look at how it stops and refocuses. And Luthor goes, me? Die? No, impossible. We'll go back to Metropolis. And by going back to Metropolis, we'll get in LexCorp Tower, we'll go to my bunker, and we'll find a way to fight it. She goes, no, we have to stay out here. Call the fucking Justice League, call the superheroes, and tell them to come here. Luthor goes, nope. He gets on a helicopter, he drags Lois with him, and they take off towards the city. Doomsday has killed everyone and begins to follow them. Meanwhile, in the Phantom Zone, this one Kryptonian who's all fucked up is like, okay, who are you? Why do you want to go back to Earth, of all places? And Superman says, my name is Kal-El, and I'm the son of Jor-El, and are you a Kryptonian? And the Kryptonian is like, yes, my name is Mon-El. I knew your father. We don't age in the Phantom Zone, but you're Kal-El, you're Jor-El's son? He was one of the scientists that... Oh my God, it's such an honor to meet you. Well, listen, let's find a gateway to Thanagar or Ran or some other planet. Earth is scrapped now. And Superman is like, I'm sorry, Earth isn't scrapped. What do you mean? He says, well, the Beast went through. Everyone on your planet will be dead within the next week. That's what happened on Krypton. What? That thing that went out, it's a weapon. It's called Doomsday. It was made to end a civil war on Krypton, but it spun out of control. An insane general created it as a weapon. Jor-El and I were scientists who tried to stop it. Earth will suffer the same fate as Krypton. All of them will die. There's no way to stop the Beast. Superman's like, help me get these fucking machines working now. Meanwhile, on the edge of Metropolis, out in the suburbs, Luthor's helicopter is passed over, and Doomsday kills everything it passes. So he's basically leaving this just trail of destruction straight through everything. Anyone who he sees, he kills, and there's no exception. So he's tearing through civilians, he's tearing through cops, and there's begun to be a military response. Luthor reaches LexCorp and sends out an all-points bulletin to every superhero in the United States, just broadband. Metropolis is under attack by an alien life form. And suddenly we're cutting all over. We're seeing Fire and Ice getting ready to go out. We're seeing Plastic Man. We're seeing the Justice League, like for the first point, really deploying. Batman gets the call and basically spreads it even further. Because he's in the Batcave, he has access to everyone's secret identities. He says, we need to get to Metropolis now. People are dying by the hundreds every minute that passes. Because Doomsday is, almost as fast as Superman. He's got the strength of 50 Supermans, and he's just single-mindedly killing everyone in his way. As Doomsday enters the city, the military confronts him. It goes about as well as you'd expect, but then Blue Beetle in the Bug is approaching Metropolis, and he can see the skyline, and smoke is starting to rise from all these different points, like threads reaching up into the sky, and you can see fire on the ground and this trail headed towards LexCorp Tower. And Blue Beetle is scared. Booster Gold flies past. It's the first time he's ever seen Booster Gold. He goes, whoa. Invisible Jet flies past. Batwing flies past, and Booster Gold's looking, Creedence Clearwater. It's like every superhero in America is converging on Metropolis around him. The Saints are coming. They come in on Doomsday like the fucking atom bomb. They beat the shit out of him from the air, and then fucking everyone's firing power blasts and fire and ice and water, everything they have at this monster in the city. And it's causing way more collateral damage than Doomsday is causing because they've never worked together before. Green Lantern basically says, everybody stop, I got him. Puts a box around Doomsday, tries to throw him into space. Doomsday breaks the construct with his bare hands, grabs Hal by the neck, stabs him, basically guts him, his intestines come out, and then throws him aside. Wally, the Flash, zooms straight at Doomsday. Doomsday grabs him out of the Speed Force, breaks his leg, breaks his back, and then throws him aside. Batman goes, okay, new plan as soon as this happens. Everyone should now be focused on evacuating Metropolis. So all of the heroes who are not Justice League begin helping to evacuate Metropolis. And I think this is its own issue, because this is where Justice League International forms, because it's all the second-tier heroes going, okay, let's get people together, and they're all meeting each other for the first time, and then getting fucking pummeled nearly to death by Doomsday. In the city, Green Arrow has this one arrow that has the most toxic venom in the universe, shoots it at Doomsday, of course it just bounces off, he grabs Ollie and is about to kill him when he gets stabbed from behind by Wonder Woman's sword. Boom, through the shoulder. Someone has put a dent in Doomsday. He turns, takes Wonder Woman, breaks both of her arms, lifts her like this, and then punts her into the Atlantic Ocean. Something like 45 miles away. Just boom, Wonder Woman's done. Aquaman, up from the bay, with fucking giant tidal wave. Doomsday jumps in. Aquaman goes, yeah, Aquaman's super fucking strong. People don't give him his credit. Manages to bend the sword more. Doomsday's arm is now hanging halfway off. Doomsday grabs Arthur Curry and gouges his eyes so he's blind, and then throws him to the bottom of the ocean. He hits the bottom of the seabed so hard that the seabed cracks and he goes down into lava near the center of the earth. So Arthur's done. The Batwing is flying through the streets just out of control. Now you have to keep in mind at this point, Jason Todd has just died. So Bruce is not doing well emotionally. He's become full-on Dark Knight. Man, I don't need any friends, that guy. And, Dick doesn't talk to him. And Nightwing, is in the city with the Teen Titans, who are forming as this is happening, because they're all meeting each other for the first time, trying to evacuate everything. And Nightwing sees the Batwing fly over him. And Doomsday just pops up and hits that shit like a volleyball. The Batwing crashes to the ground, explodes. Batman is critically injured. 4 of his ribs are broken. His arm on this side is broken. His wrist is broken. He has a skull fracture. He stands up, right? Doomsday's walking towards Batman, and Batman's just thinking, what am I going to do? And he's just doing everything, just trying to distract Doomsday for that extra moment. Dick sees this happen, and of course has this moment where he's like, Dad, oh my God, and swings down and basically grabs injured Batman and pulls him away from Doomsday. Bruce is like, don't do this, Dick, you have to let me fight him. Dick is like, no, you're just gonna die. Meanwhile, Lois Lane has left LexCorp Towers because she thinks it's following us. If we just let it kill us, maybe it'll stop. But then she sees the scope of the destruction, and she sees the crashed Batwing. She runs into it, and she gets on the back microphone, and starts calling the shots to the heroes. Okay, Doomsday's on 5th Street, you guys have to go down East Street, like going back and forth. Lois Lane talking to the President of the United States military, the Justice League, who are now all fucked to shit. Plastic Man gets ripped in half. It's not going well for them. Meanwhile, in the Phantom Zone, Superman manages to punch through the reality. He's done this before, but basically that gateway that had been closed, Superman hits it so hard that he breaks a wall in reality and matter itself and flies through. Right before he does this, Mon-El says, hey, you don't need to save them. They're only human. You can let them die and we can go start a new Krypton together. Superman's like, you were my father's friend? Don't fucking talk to me again. Goodbye. He breaks through, flies into Metropolis, sees Doomsday. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Doomsday goes like this. That was funny. You're gonna hit me in the face. Doomsday grabs Clark and just sort of cuts him open like that. Blood. Then takes him and breaks his... Superman sort of tries to pull him up, into space. Doomsday's like immovable object, breaks his arm, pulls him back down, punches him, breaks his collarbone. And keep in mind, this fight, I think of it as like a fight in the comic book Preacher. Like, this isn't like people getting knocked through buildings, like epic fight. You're dealing with two of the strongest characters ever. So when they're hitting each other, they're just hitting each other. It just looks like history of violence, that you can feel teeth getting knocked out of faces. It's ow. So, by the way, Doomsday is not taking damage here. No matter how hard Superman hits him, Doomsday's response is to hit Superman back that much harder. And Clark realizes for the first time in his life, he's in danger. He might die. Back home on the farm, Pa Ken and Ma Ken are watching this on TV. And Pa Ken sees his son bleed for the first time and realizes this was the big test. And his son is going to fail. And his son is going to die. He has a heart attack. Passes out on the floor in front of a TV showing his son being beaten to death by a monster. Superman is like dying and realizes, I'm fucked. Lois Lane in the Batwing, like 30 feet away, sees this guy who she just dumped getting killed for the sake of this city. And she's screaming, no, stop, Clark, please. And the few people who are still around are like, Clark, what is she yelling? Doomsday picks up Clark and drives a bone shard straight through his shoulder, pulls it out, and then drives it through this cheek and out the bottom of his jaw. And Clark realizes, this is it, I'm gonna die. He can see Lois right over there. News helicopter flying low. And we see Joker watching on TV in Gotham. We see all of the villains watching this happen. If Superman dies and leaves this thing alive, the world is over. Perry White's watching, Jimmy Olsen's watching. And Superman reaches up to that sword. It's been embedded in him. Now, Clark's never taken a life. He killed a cow on the farm because it was old and sick, and he killed it just by pressing on his head. And we flash back to this moment, this old, sick cow that Pa Kent had him kill just by pressing on its head. Superman remembers that when it's time to do something, you've got to do it. He's seeing things, he's concussed, his jaw is half torn off, he's bleeding. He reaches up, he grabs Wonder Woman's sword, it's still embedded in Doomsday's shoulder, pulls it out, and then just drives it through Doomsday's face. Just like that. Doomsday goes like this. Done. Doomsday's dead. And Clark starts crawling away. Lois can't find him because he crawls away really fast. He's Superman. She's looking for him, and Clark's looking at all the destruction. All these dead people. He sees a Superman symbol. And that symbol is the symbol of the House of El on his planet. His father, who created this thing, and he tears the Superman symbol off. Fuck that. Now we're back to the beginning. Clark is found by Lois in the emergency relief tent. They don't even speak. She's just like, let's go. He's been bandaged up. Now keep in mind, expending that much energy, Yellow Sun energy, to fucking fight Doomsday has basically made him a normal person for a couple hours. So the paramedics, normal paramedics, who have no idea it's Superman, stitch him up. They're like, he's in critical condition, he needs medication. And of course he'll get better once he recharges, but they don't know that. So Clark Kent's life is actually saved by normal people. He hears about the heart attack his father had, and he needs serious physical rehabilitation. He's badly injured. He goes out to the farm to take care of his dad. You have to keep in mind, he was on that truck at the beginning. This is all Superman's fault. Everything bad that happened is Superman's fault. And you know what? He agrees. Superman is dead. This is where things get interesting now, because we're doing my version. So if you've watched this far, stuff's about to pay off. So LexCorp rolls into Metropolis the next day. And guess what they have? Self-replicating nanite technology from Krypton. And they begin rebuilding the entire city as the world's first LexCorp city. And the way that's going to work is that everything is Kryptonian. We're going to rebuild Metropolis in a month. And this Kryptonian technology that rebuilds itself will make it the most advanced city in the world. Everything will be automated. At around the same time, Mon-El shows up in Metropolis. It's during an attack by the parasite. And he deals with the parasite and saves them. He actually saves Lex Luthor personally. Luthor's reaction is, get this guy the fuck out of the city, another alien? But Mon-El is here to help. He saw Superman's noble sacrifice, and he is here to pick up the slack. He has his own Superman suit. It's red, but it has the big S on it. And the people who are searching for a new hero are more than happy to welcome him in. Meanwhile, the Justice League is all like fucked up and being rehabbed and like just really badly injured. So they're not in a position to really investigate this. Batman's still in a wheelchair right now from his encounter with Doomsday. Superman out on the farm sees all this on TV. Kryptonian technology in every building. Mon-El's the new Superman. And you know what Superman thinks? Good, fine. I don't need to be a part of this. I'm ready to just be Clark Kent. I can stay in Smallville and take care of my dad and heal up. And Lois has come out to live with him. And that's when a limo comes rolling up the driveway. Clark goes out to greet it. And Bruce Wayne gets out of the limo. Now you have to understand, for Clark, Bruce Wayne? What are you doing here? That's like Brad Pitt gets out of the limo. And Bruce Wayne's just looking at him, and he has a cast on. And Dick Grayson gets out of the other side of the limo. They're looking at him. And Superman's just staring at them. And he goes, oh wait, they're all fucked up. And Superman goes like this. It's just a 4-panel thing. Like that. And Batman goes, and Superman's like that. And Bruce Wayne's like, yes. Bruce Wayne is there because he's realized that the Justice League has to be a real thing. And for that to happen, Superman needs to come back. But what happened in Metropolis can never happen again. Superman is a guy from Kansas, okay? He's never been in a fist fight that he wasn't automatically the victor of because he's Kryptonian. Bruce Wayne says, I want you to meet Dick Grayson. This is Nightwing. He's a former Robin of mine. We're going to stay on this farm with you because I'm too injured to be Batman. I have my friend Azrael. He seems like he's a really good superhero right now. He's taking care of crime in Gotham for the next couple months because this is more important. I am going to train you in self-defense and strategy. So now we enter what to me is kind of the most interesting part of the story. I think you'll probably like all this stuff at the end. But wherein Batman and Superman, as Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent, with Dick Grayson hanging on a farm for 3 months, training Superman to be a fucking badass, training him in fucking martial arts. So now when Superman shows up, it's less this and more this. Superman learns how to meditate. He learns all this shit about Eastern culture he never knew. He even learns some fucking moves from fucking ninja stuff that he can do 1,000,000 times better than Batman because he's Superman. And yet Batman can still do 1,000,000 times better than him because he's Batman. And it's just one of those fun things where you really get to see the characters talk to each other because they have such different lives. And Batman reflects on, wow, if I had these parents, I'd be different. And Superman learns about Batman's origin and is like, wow, my life would be significantly different too. Meanwhile, in Metropolis, shit starts to go wrong. And by wrong, I mean like wrong. All of the automation in the city begins to become malevolent. People are trapped inside their homes, and the automation keeps demanding Superman. Mon-El is like, what the fuck is this? But it's clear that he recognizes what's happening. Luthor, knowing that the situation is spiraling out of control, tries to access the mainframe that's controlling the whole city, because now bridges are opening and cars are falling, the big security robots he had set up are turning on people, and he's greeted by a malevolent intelligence. It's fucking Hank Henshaw. He got absorbed by the nanites, and now he wants Superman, and he'll destroy Metropolis unless he's given him. Mon-El tries to fight him. Like, he's basically, by the way, worth noting here, a lot of Metropolis' supervillains have just disappeared. Like, the Prankster and Parasite and Atomic Skull, and all those guys are just gone ever since Mon-El arrived. There's almost no crime, and that could be because of the automation, but maybe Mon-El's just tougher than Superman ever was. And Mon-El goes toe-to-toe with all of the automation, but it overtakes him. Meanwhile, in Smallville, Superman sees what's happening on TV. He sees the fucking horror happening in Metropolis as the city turns in on itself, automated, destroying everything. And Batman says, no one could stop this. You're the one who could stop this. Mon-El is getting defeated. Metropolis is going to eat itself alive. If you don't come back now, you don't come back. He turns to his dad. Now, on TV, shit's falling, Mon-El is fighting robots in Metropolis. Superman turns to Pa Kent and says, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not ready. And Pa Kent says, of course you're ready. We already made you the new suit. That's how much faith we had that you'd do the right thing. He puts on the suit, it's black. He looks like a fucking badass. Sonic boom! Superman re-enters Metropolis, destroys 6 robots on his own. Mon-El is like, holy tostito. He's fucking destroying robots left and right. You have to keep in mind, he's still a lot stronger than Mon-El because he's been on Earth a lot longer. He's fucking taking down things left and right. He cuts most of the power grids to the city because he has training by Batman, and isolates Hank Henshaw's intelligence in one building, LexCorp. He's like, Mon-El, I don't know what the fuck you're doing here, but we are rolling to LexCorp now. They go to LexCorp, they bust in, together they break through all the anti-Kryptonian security, which is now being, remember that from the way beginning, which is now being controlled by this intelligence, and they get to the mainframe. The mainframe is, Hank Henshaw's face on this scary screen, like Kane from RoboCop 2 or something. Superman says, it's over, I'm shutting it down. Henshaw says, you cannot defeat me. I am not Hank Henshaw. Hank Henshaw is an idea that has disappeared, a ghost in the machine. Kal-El, I know you. Mon-El goes like this. Kal-El, do you know what I am? I am the true ruler of Krypton. I am its destruction and I am its rebirth. Hank Henshaw is nothing. I am Brainiac. Superman's like, what the fuck is Brainiac? Brainiac turns to Mon-El from the screen and says, kill him, strike him down, and we shall start a new... Mon-El just fucking trashes Brainiac one punch. Superman's like, what the fuck? Luthor, who's like hiding on the floor, is like, what the fuck? The Kryptonians are trying to take over Earth. I knew it all along. Superman's like, oh, that's bad. Luthor runs away. Mon-El's like, can you just come with me somewhere? We'll have an honest talk. I'm sorry. I haven't been completely honest with you. Come with me to Antarctica. They fly to Antarctica where Mon-El has carved this giant fortress out of the ice. And Clark, who grew up on a farm and now lives in an apartment, is like, what the fuck? Doing this would never occur to him. They go in. Mon-El says, this is a fortress of solitude. And I say solitude because you and I are the only ones who really understand what it means to be alone. We're the last of our species. They go inside and there's all this Kryptonian technology everywhere. And all of the supervillains of Metropolis are dead and mounted as trophies. Superman's like, Mon-El says, I haven't been completely honest with you, Clark. I did know your father. Your father tried to stop the war on Krypton. Instead of siding with the victors, he tried to prevent there from being a war at all. At the end of the day, there's no room for pacifists in a world that's dying. Kal-El, you understand that. Jor-El was a fool. Brainiac, the computer, had taken over half the planet. I had to invent Doomsday to destroy Brainiac. You know that. Kal-El's like, you invented Doomsday? Yes, Kal-El. My name isn't really Mon-El. I was a general on Krypton. I tried to save it, but for my trouble, I was sent to the Phantom Zone by your idiot father. Now is your chance to join me. Clark's like, what? Mon-El's like, yes, you and I will rule this planet. Superman says, listen, I don't know who you are, but I am not an alien. I am a human, and you talking about humans like they're some sort of race of rats is really kind of disturbing me. I think you and I need to have a talk about you and you leaving this planet before I do something about it. And Mon-El goes, oh, you're gonna do something about a long fucking shaking. He opens a gate to the Phantom Zone. From this point on, you have two options. Into there or join me. Superman says, I'm not gonna join you. Then Mon-El says, into the Phantom Zone. Don't make me force you. I can hurt you, Kal-El. Superman, who has a big scar from Doomsday all over, it's like, really? He says, yes. You don't know who or what I am, but I think you're about to find out. Soon you and everyone on this planet will kneel before and Superman stabs him with one of the Kryptonian shards from Lex Luthor's old security system. Zod falls forward. He can't believe that this just happened. And he says, you've murdered me. Your father was a pacifist, and now you've murdered me. You fool, you've betrayed the only thing that mattered. And Superman says, actually, I haven't murdered you. The only reason kryptonite is toxic, I had it in a lead box in my pocket, but the only reason it's toxic is because of the yellow sun. You know where there's no yellow sun? That gateway to the Phantom Zone. Superman presses a button, so the Phantom Zone gateway is slowly closing. And Zod goes, you think this is the end? I'll be back, I'll be stronger, I'll bring friends, I'll take this planet, and I'll kill you. And Superman's like, you better hurry, because you're bleeding a lot, and it's about to close. And the Phantom Zone thing is like getting smaller, and smaller. He scrambles towards it, and Zod goes, this isn't over, I'm not afraid of you. And he realizes the portal is getting too small for him to get through, and he goes, open the portal back up quickly! And Superman says, well, you can still get through if you kneel. And Zod goes, fuck you, and crawls into the Phantom Zone. The gateway closes. Superman looks around this amazing, beautiful sculpture in the ice. And he tries to operate the Kryptonian machinery, but he doesn't know how any of it works. But him touching it triggers a DNA-sensitive video. And it's his father, Jor-El. It's his father talking to Krypton about Doomsday and how they need to stay away from Doomsday because it's killing everything near it. And that if they can just isolate it, they can stop it and stop attacking it, which is what Brainiac's doing. Superman watches this announcement from his father, the only interaction he's ever had with his father, and then realizes, wait, it kills everyone in the vicinity, but it was way outside the city. What? And he goes to Lois Lane. He says, why did you go into the city? Doomsday followed you. She says, Luthor made me. Superman's like, what? He goes to Luthor's office, which is still all trashed. And he says, Mr. Luthor, I have to place you under arrest. Luthor says, you're not a police officer, you're an alien invader. You can't place Lex Luthor under arrest. Superman says, I'm placing you under citizen's arrest, and I'm bringing you before a tribunal to be held responsible for the destruction of Metropolis. If you hadn't run away from Doomsday, this wouldn't have happened. Lex sits at his desk. He takes out a gun. He stands up and he shoots Superman 3 times in the chest. Boom, boom, boom. The bullets, of course, just bounce off. Superman's like, what are you doing? He knocks the gun away from Luthor, and Luthor punches Superman in the face and breaks his hand. And Superman's like, why would you do that? Are you insane? And Luthor goes, no, I'm the only sane one, and I'm the only brave one. Everything that's happened is your fault. Not true, by the way. Everything that happened in Metropolis, all the people that died, are your fault. And Superman, of course, thought this up until he found out it was all Luthor's fault. But Luthor can't accept that. He says, you will not go on posing as a savior. I am humanity's savior because I am humanity. I represent the most human element. I am the most important person in the world. I am the Dalai Lama. I am Christ. I am the savior who will bring the human race to a higher level, and you dragging us down has to end, and I will not stop until you are dead. I am the last brave man. Superman goes like this. And Lex Luthor goes. Superman drags him out, takes him to jail. Back on Kent Farm, Superman's alone, looking at the stars. His dad comes out. Lex Luthor's going to be put on trial by the UN. He'll get off, of course. He has the best lawyers. Superman says it doesn't matter. And Paul Kent says, well, are you still going to quit? You know, knowing what you do about the destruction of Krypton, that it wasn't some paradise. Superman says, the fact that it wasn't a paradise means I will never quit. I'm not from Krypton. I'm from Kansas. And people like Lex Luthor, who represent the worst of humanity, can't be allowed to win. Superman is not dead. That's it. So you do the whole Superman mythology, reinvent the entire Superman mythology within that story, and that's my idea, and I hope you liked it, and thank you. I have to go work on my movie now before the producer kills me.
Let me get some chimes. Yeah, that's good. Yo, you ready to break off some of that Superman shit? Flow Jams 99. Forever. You know what's coming? Here we go. Here comes the Doomsday. Yeah, there's no escape. Here comes the Doomsday. For the man in the cave. Here comes the Doomsday. Yeah, we sealed his fate. Executive decision made. Now he's dead and I'm here comes the Doomsday. Ain't nowhere to hide. Here comes the Doomsday. Cause I made up my mind. Here comes the Doomsday. You ran the fuck out of time. Fuck you, Superman. Now it's time to die. We did it.